Welcome to the lounge. This is my podcast that I do from time to time. Usually it's about horror movies, right? So it's hello Night Gaunt. So usually it's about horror movies, and sometimes I have guests, but sometimes I don't have any guests, and this is one of those times. So basically, what I decided to do is talk about something that is very dear to me, and that is ancient aliens or ancient astronaut theory. You see, I did before on when I streamed on the regular. So I did, gaming streams on the regular. I did something called Conspiracy Mondays, in which I streamed about a conspiracy theory, and we talked about that. It was great, but it does take a lot of time, and sometimes it's really hard to get all the info in that you want, because it's kind of a big subject to get your viewers in on. So basically what we're gonna do today is I think not so sure. I think that we're gonna start with me explaining the idea of ancient astronaut theory, and because this is a pod, well, it will be a pod. So after this live segment, I will edit this one and upload it onto YouTube tomorrow. And so basically, the idea of ancient aliens bases itself in the ancient astronaut theory, right? So the ancient astronaut theory is a conspiracy theory that means that a lot of ancient stuff in our world, like the ancient world, like Rome, like the Incas, even though they're not technically in the ancient world, a lot of those structures or happenings have fantastical ideas of aliens intervening with human life, right? So it basically means that we humans learned everything from aliens. We didn't do a lot ourselves. So basically we're incomplete. We are basically as monkeys. And we will get to today. We will get to the racist part of this theory, because there is a huge question mark when it comes to racism, when it comes to believing in ancient aliens, which of course is just as bad as all other racism. But they mask it a little bit better, because they don't tell you outright that some people can't invent stuff, So, all right. So basically, what this podcast is going to be is I'm gonna pick a subject right now, and if you feel like there is another alien subject you want to talk about that is connected to ancient aliens or the ancient astronaut theory, we will talk about that too. So basically, this is your time to shine, baby, because I am going to try to live debunk some shit. All right. So I think I had a video up. Well, I'm just gonna move around some windows here, so so you might see something, but don't worry about it. Why didn't that one move to that correct win? Wait! No, don't do that. Wait. Steam started updating for some reason. Okay. All right. We got this. Don't worry. The Zax, yes. I'm here to tell you that ancient alien theory is absolutely bogus. It's so much bullshit that it's hard to keep in one stream, really. One thing I want to mention about this is that whenever you talk about ancient aliens or stuff like that, you always get the same kind of strategy a lot of far right people want to use. Like they instead of arguing their point, they go for like, yeah, but what about this theory, and what about this theory, and what about this theory, and what about this theory. So as soon as you rebut them, they just go for another, ancient site or something, and they're like, yeah, but what about this place, and it gets really hard to argue with them because they first of all, they don't care about science. Second of all, everything is way more easier if you're just ignoring everything, right? So if you can just shout out shit, you can feel like you win, and then the other person has to actually dig up sources and has to actually cite sources or reports or data or archaeological digs, and that person is put in a disadvantage right from the get-go, right? So people that believe in this theory know what they're doing, right? So they go on the attack immediately, right? So sorry, I need my tobacco. Right, so let's see if I can capture a window. It's been a while since I did some regular streaming. So window, we call it YouTube window. Wait, I already have that? YouTube 2. All right, there we go. Let's see if I can capture it. Yes, I can. Here we go. Right, so we are on YouTube right now. Sorry that you had to see all this mess, but basically, welcome to my channel. Just ask a trans person who supports the Palestinian side of the Middle East. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to conflicts, usually the people supporting either side or having a very strong emotion to either side, a lot of them, I'm not saying all of them, because when it comes to Israel and Palestine, which is a conflict I don't want to talk about right now, there are some legitimate questions, but some people, they just throw things at you, like, so it doesn't really matter which side, but but anyway, when the Egyptians stopped building the pyramids, was that because of no aliens, no tech, or hey, maybe giant ass markers that point out shit, load, or treasure, or like saying rob me? I think there is a little bit of a mixture. I think there is, as I have read by archaeologists, that there is a little bit of a mixture, because they started to, instead of doing the pyramids, they started to dig down. So that's why you have, the Valley of the Kings and stuff like that. So they still wanted to do these fantastical marvels of engineering. They just hid them in caves instead. Like they. Oh right, yeah. For all sakes and purposes, do it. Sorry, I'm gonna turn off this audio sound and audio of my phone. Sorry. All right, so we're gonna this clip is 9 minutes, but we're gonna watch a little bit of it to see what it said. This is about the site that is called Baalbek, and it's an ancient site. It predates the Romans. The Romans have built on top of another ancient site, right? And in Ancient Aliens, it is called the landing platform, because basically there is a platform made out of megalithic stones. So we're gonna see what they had to say about it, and I'm going to hide my camera here, so wait. Don't worry about it. Alright, let's see what it says. In ancient time was built in more than imaginative buildings that override all the laws of nature in order to stay together. Questions about how did you come this... Alright, ignore that. Is possible when the current methods of subjects either did not get the same result. Would it be possible that we have received for visitors from space evidence around the world would tell you that this could have happened, or we were in a union which came with the space? Okay, I'm not gonna make fun of that person's grammar, but that was awful. The ancient city of Baalbek is one of the greatest archaeological mysteries of all time. It's not. Located east of the Litani River in the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, Baalbek is world famous for its exquisitely detailed yet monumentally scaled Roman temple ruins. In Roman times, Baalbek was known as Heliopolis, after the sun god, and it contained some of the largest, most notable Roman temples ever built. In fact, the Romans had constructed an extraordinary temple complex in Baalbek, consisting of 3 separate temples, one for Jupiter, one for Bacchus, and one for Venus. Alright, before the video says anything, I want to say that this is the megalithic stones they are talking about, right? So this is the core of the alien theory. But what these Roman temples were built on top is much more important. These Roman temples were actually built on top of an ancient 5 million square foot platform that was made from some of the largest stones ever used in construction project in the history of the Earth. Well, here you have them. These are the megalithic stones they talk about, the ones on top. The fact that the largest stone was found near Baalbek ruins in fact, the largest stone found near the Baalbek ruins weighs approximately 1,200 tons and is about 64 feet long. Okay, we're gonna come back to this because it's very important that it says found near, right? How people in ancient times were able to move such massive stones is a complete mystery. It's not. In fact, these giant construction stones were stacked so closely together that you can't even fit a piece of paper between many of them. Many of the architectural feats found in Baalbek cannot even be duplicated with 21st century technology. It can, don't worry. Here's a great thing that I work with in construction, because I know this shit. All right, so yeah, pause that a little badly. Wait. All right, so this is a stone found close to Baalbek. This is from a stone quarry, right? So this stone weighs about 1,200 kilograms, 1,200 tons, with a claim it does. And maybe it does. But the thing is, it was never quarried. There is a very interesting thing about Baalbek. We will get to that later. But just so you know, that this 1,200 ton stone was not quarried from Baalbek, okay? Again, with the questions. Keep in mind that the base of Baalbek ruins alone weighs approximately 5 billion tons. All right, so this is a kind of a cheapskate, because it's hard to explain right now. We're gonna get into it, but judging the entire complex or the entire base of a complex is a fallacy, because that is a lot of different stones put to place. That would be like, how did they build the pyramids? One of the pyramids weighs this much tons, but that doesn't make sense, because we know it's made up of, you know, a lot of different stones. So, yeah. Wait, sorry, I missed that. The truth is that the ancient history of the Earth contains a lot more mysteries than we were ever told about. Yeah, well, yeah, it does, but that not because we're trying to hide it. I'm not gonna comment that one. Like, fuck me. Yeah, Bubba Hotep. Right. Oh, shit. All right. At its western end lie three of the largest cut blocks of stone in the history, well, in the world. Here we go. These are the so-called the trilithons. They are the megalithic stones put in Baalbek. Transporting and placing them in their horizontal would pose insurmountable problem, even to the modern engineers using the most sophisticated machinery technology can provide. Yet these stones have been positioned for almost 2,000 years. Despite the technical expertise of the Romans, there is no similar example of such astonishing skill anywhere else in the former empire. The great stones of Baalbek are unique. All right, so I'm gonna I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna open a notepad and write it down because the megalithic stones is a topic of their own. Megalithic stones, and we're gonna put down questions here like weight, unique, and purpose, right? So purpose is a good thing to look up. Yeah, it is. You have, the South American place you think about, I think, is, oh god, what is it called? Wait, I'm gonna check. I forgot its name. Yes, that's you. Asked it. It should be. It should be. It's not. It's not. It's not Puma Punku, I think. Because that one is its own, right? I think it is. Is it Puma Punku maybe? Yeah, because that's the place they thought they say, they melted the stones or something like that to fit them instead of instead of uh, carving out regular fit stones because they thought because they ancient aliens say it's easier to melt the stones than to chisel them or something like that. It's really stupid. Like their whole idea of that place is fucking insane. Yeah, they did. Well, they only did minimal masonry, so, or stonework. But basically, what they did, they took a stone that was, and they tried to fit it in. Then they chisel in it. That's why the patterns are illogical and not symmetrical because they just took a stone, chiseled it so it fit with the other stone. They didn't melt anything like ancient aliens would have you believe, because ancient aliens says that that they would have to melt the stones like with lasers or some shit, but that's not what happened. It's kind of clear that's not what happened, but they kind of pander that idea. Um, and I'm like, that's so illogical because they did find uh, metal chisels with very strong copper alloys. I don't know the other metals in those tools, but one of them was copper, and I found very strong copper alloys that would be able to um, do the cutting they require. But the thing is here is that when Ancient Alien presents this, or when Ancient Astronaut presents this, they present it as like these stones at Puma Punku, that they were like diorite, which is one of the granite and diorite, which are two of the hardest stones on Earth, right? So they painted up like, yeah, metal chisel can't do that. But the thing is that most of the stones used at those places are not diorite or granite. They are sandstones and limestone, and both limestones and sandstones are pretty soft, so you can work with them with a pretty soft metal tool. So they have very strong copper alloy tools. And you should also know that the Incans, or the Mayans for that matter, wasn't by the Egyptian time standard like 4,000 years ago. They were during our Middle Ages. So the metal work is not even that impressive, because I mean, it's impressive because because they have it, but it's not like something, oh shit, wow, it must be aliens. But it's not impressive in a time manner, because in Europe we made steel weapons like swords and chainmail armor. So why are you doubting that these native tribes to America could do metal alloys like copper and nickel? It's all just very weird to me. That whole line of thinking, I mean. Also, welcome, Cypriel. Though studied by archaeologists for over 100 years, the ruins at Baalbek, Lebanon, contains a few structures that still defy explanation. The Baalbek foundation stones, particularly the huge block known as the Trilithon, which I mentioned earlier, are one of the great mysteries of the ancient world. It's not. It's not. All right, we're gonna go through this soon. I'm gonna explain Baalbek to all of you really soon. We're just gonna make it through this motherfucking video. Underneath the ruins of Temple of Jupiter are approximately 25 large limestone blocks weighing 450 tons. On one side of the complex, there are 3 even larger stones sitting atop of the foundation, called the Trilithon stones. These massive blocks weigh in at 1,000 tons each. All right, so... Secret. Yeah, no, I don't believe it. I have about 10 years of personal time experience of debunking. Thank you for the cheer. I don't have the alert set up for this scene. Sorry. Thank you, Nightgone. No, I have about 10 years or more of debunking conspiracy theories. So I don't believe it. I just use my precious, valuable personal time in actually debunking it. All right, so the Trilithon stones again mentioned, because this is the so-called real mystery of Baalbek. This is what ancient aliens say is the real mystery, right? They pander this all over the place. Right. So compared to the stone used in the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, which is Cheops pyramid, I mean, I think, because that's the one with the largest blocks. The largest being 80 tons. It is unknown how blocks was set in place. It's not unknown. Given that the erosion is great. Oh my god, I can't believe that they used the reason the stones are there as to debunk oh yes, I understand that completely. Like I mean I'm drawn to it too. Like because I spend so much time to it, I guess. I mean, so we all get our thing out of it. I just get my thing of, debunking it because it's bunk. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. I do have a friend that is a firm believer in these theories, and I can't talk him out of it. Like, I have tried, but I can't. But that doesn't keep me from, speaking with you guys live on air about it, because I will not stop talking about this until people stop believing it. But can you prove that Cthulhu don't sleep somewhere? No, I can't prove that he doesn't, but I can prove that Lovecraft said he was fictional. That is basically all I can prove. I can't prove that he is not real, because I can't prove a negative. I can prove that he's probably not real, but that's not the same as, conclusive evidence. Yeah, but I had this friend, and he really believes this stuff, and we always go head to head on this, and it's a little bit like I spent so many years talking about it, but can you prove Lovecraft was real? No. Oh God, no, I don't think I can. I mean, there is evidence, conclusive evidence that he was real, but can I actually prove it? I don't know. Can I? I mean, without digging him up, I think I'm. Stop doing this. I'm trying to focus on being on producing rational evidence for rational things here. Don't do that. Don't do that. Given that the erosion is greater on the surface of these foundation stones compared to the blocks of the Temple of the Jupiter, it is assumed that these were already in place at the Roman construction. No, all right. I hate this video so much. Look, so I'm gonna say it right here because it's kind of important. The whole thing about Baalbek is these three trilithon stones, right? So they paint the rest of the area as mysterious, but they point to these stones as this is why it's mysterious, right? So they use those stones to paint up the entire area as something that would fit the ancient alien narrative. It's kind of a neat trick because they don't talk about anything else in that area, like about the site itself, right? They don't talk about that. They only talk about these stones, and they repeat it over and over and over, and I'm gonna fuck them up. wrong. Alright, let's stop watching this video because it's just gonna retell basically about the stones. Let's talk about the stones, alright? Alright, so that was wrong. So let's talk about the Trilithon stones. Right, so it's kind of simple. Yes, they weigh a lot. They weigh a fuck ton, to be honest. Trilithon stones. But I'm gonna say it right now. This is possible with human power. Let's see, can we get that window up? Yeah. So Baalbek Trilithons. Right, so here you have it. So this is an article about stones, and you can see on the pictures here, you see an unfinished stone. Oh yeah, shit, the turtles. Damn, I forgot about that. Well, I'll be right back. Either way, so Baalbek is basically, before the Romans started building it, there was an ancient temple in Baalbek. You can find, if you go under the Roman ruins in Baalbek, you can find it, and which archaeologists have done. So they know that the Romans built a top on it. One thing that is really interesting about Baalbek, though, is that the Trilithon stones, you know, the stones this fucking YouTuber can't stop talking about, and that ancient aliens can't stop talking about. Why is my fucking green screen this bad? So they can't stop talking about it because they can't in any way understand it, right? So they think because they can't understand it, it has to be something fishy with it, which is not true. So these stones, the Trilithon stones, they weigh a lot, like a lot. And this is the three stones we're talking about. They're right here. And I can tell you right now that these stones are of Roman product. So they are not part of the foundation of Baalbek. They are not. Ancient aliens will have you believe that these are the foundation of Baalbek, but that is not true. These stones are part of a retaining wall in Baalbek. You see, the Romans liked building a retaining wall, and the site in place, the site we're talking about, has a massive erosion problem. And erosion means that earth moves around, which means like there are not enough trees to stop the surface from moving, right? So this is a retaining wall to keep the earth from overtaking the city. Basically, they put in there to stop that. And they have done the same thing in Jerusalem. Let's see. Big stones, Big stone in Jerusalem. They have done the same there. I can show you it. Here we have it. Oh, that was a really... Why are all the pictures so small? Here it is. This stone is bigger than any stone in Baalbek. And it is also of a massive retaining wall. It's to keep the earth out. But Ancient Alien doesn't talk about this stone because they can't fit it with a narrative. They are talking about these stones because they can fit it. Like, when they talk about it, it sounds like it is the foundation of Baalbek, but it's not. It's a Roman construction because Romans knew how to build retaining walls. And another thing they're talking about when they're talking about this is usually that they say, how did they lift them? Because there are no markings on them. But here's the thing. We only see the front of the stones. We don't see the sides or the backs of it. So you can't tell if there is any lifting holes or whatever in the stones. And by the fucking way, Romans had cranes. Yeah, like modern day cranes, but in wood. And they could lift about 500 kilograms. But the thing is, if you take a stone, let's say this phone is a stone, and it weighs fucking a lot. So if you take this phone and you take and attach a crane to it, and you can lift a little bit of it like this, then you might figure out that you can attach another crane to it with the same lifting capacity, and you can lift it straight like this. And then you take a third crane and pull it. And then you can pull it on this side and get it up on top of the existing stones. So you have the stones here. But with 3 cranes, maybe more cranes, they could basically lift the stone in one edge and drag it on top. They don't have to deadlift it like this. Like, that's not how construction works. So they want to make you think that the Romans couldn't do this. But here's the thing. You usually don't deadlift this big objects in real life right now either, because you usually try to position them in a way that you can push them. So if you got a big wall that's gonna go up, and I work in construction, so I know how this kind of works. Sometimes you get that concrete wall, you get it pre-approved or pre-made, and you get it with a truck, so it's lying down, right? But you want it to stand up, then you usually lift it off first on the ground, and then you raise the either end of it, and then you have guys on the below that pushes it into place while it's airborne, because it's so heavy. The friction of it on being on the ground would be too much to push, but you can control it when you're on the ground and you're several guys, right? So, and when you have it in the right position, you can put it down and you can nail it steadfast. And they did exactly the same when it comes to the stones of Baalbek. They lifted them up and dragged them up using cranes. They didn't like deadlift it with guys. Like, how insane would that be? That is crazy. Of course they used the cranes they had available, because that's how they raised the pillars, that's how they raised everything else. Like, humans in these times weren't fucking idiots. Like, they were just as smart as you and me. But ancient alien theorists fucking refuses to believe that, and I think that is more offensive to me than anything else. All right, so let's look at Another thing. What should we look at? Something else. Ancient aliens. Let's see what comes up. Ancient aliens. Yeah, they discount a lot. So we're gonna get into the whole kind of racist bit of it later, because it's alright, so let's look at Puma Punku. Someone else brought it up here in the channel, so Puma Punku.
We're at the site called Puma Punku on the Altiplano of Bolivia, next to the famous, or more famous, Tiwanaku. And what's incredible here is this is recent excavation, as in maybe the last year or two, but we're going to see obvious examples of where recycling has been done. This area was buried in at least 2 feet of soil. You see, what you're looking at is...
Yeah, okay, that is called erosion. Like, it's just that is just erosion.
red sandstone that's been made into a wall. But look at this stone here. This is the gray andesite, and look at how beautiful that surface is. The andesite is harder than the red sandstone. And there are indications that the work in andesite is actually much older. The reason why it's so pristine is because it's been buried underground for possibly thousands of years. Thousands of years older than the official story of this site being 2,000 So this is supposed to be just a drain.
Okay, Puma Punku is not 2,000 years old. Does anyone believe that? Like, in real science? Puma Punku is like 13 or 1400s? Wait. It wasn't Bolivia. Oh, yeah, alright, sorry. I'm conflating it. It's believed to date to AD 536 and later. So it's 1,500 years old, not 2,000. Oh my god, this place.
Drainage channel. You see the big rocks that are on top of it. It's all sandstone, red sandstone. But this is where we have evidence that clasps existed, so-called keystone cuts. You notice there's no mortar between the stones.
Isn't these things? Aren't they molds for metal tools?
And these clasps would have been molten bronze poured here. We're at 13,000 feet in altitude. And to actually liquefy bronze at this altitude would be incredibly difficult.
Wait, what? Liquefying bronze at that altitude would be difficult?
So this area was exposed in 2012, most of it is red sandstone, but again here we have a beautiful piece of the andesite here, there, and there. There's no way you can do this with hand tools.
Yeah, there is a way. It's just called chugging away. I promise. It will take time, even if it takes a lot of time since it's andesite. But of course, it's possible to cut it. You.
Unfortunately, there's so much damage to the edges, but we will find areas where the intersection of the two surfaces is so incredibly precise and so crisp edging. This had to have been done with machine tools. It could not.
Oh my fucking god.
Have been done by primitive people with bronze.
Primitive people, and there we have it. All right, let's talk about racism, because all right, I thought I was gonna talk about this a little bit later, but the racism part of this fucking theory cannot be overlooked, right? So the idea is that humans, especially humans of a certain race, as they would see it, like natives or Africans, like, you know, or Egyptians or whatever, they are too stupid to be able to construct something so beautiful. So like in the pyramids thing, it can't be the Egyptians, because the Egyptians are North African, Middle Eastern, you know, they are Arabs, and Arabs can't do that shit. And here, they're like, oh shit, the natives of Central America, how can they know stone masonry? That it has to be powered tools. And like, that is not true. That all they're doing, all the people that believe this fucking garbage, they believe that humans are so fucking stupid that we can't cut rock. I mean, we can form concrete now. Like, yeah, of course you could cut rock. You cut rock either with pounding stones or with metal alloy tools, or you do it, you know, with a metal saw, like a bronze saw or copper saw, like in Egypt. They cut the sandstones with copper saws. Of course they can do it. It's like the whole idea that Homo sapiens have changed so much in 4,000 years is fucking ridiculous. The people that built these things were just as smart as us. Yeah, sure, they didn't know the same things as us, like they didn't know about cell phones or internet, or, you know, they didn't know the actual physical laws that we have constructed since then. But they weren't dumb, so one person with his fucking brain could think out a problem and a solution to that problem. They weren't fucking animals. They were just like us, just with less, you know, less things, less schools. Like they could absolutely solve a problem. Like if they saw, like, okay, dude, this stone is really hard, so how are we gonna do this? And someone came along and said, like, hey, dude, we can do this. It's gonna take some time, but the tool we have will help us. So the minute they drop, like when he drops that line primitive, he's a fucking asshole, because he thinks that they were like primitive, like what we would say, like in evolutionary believing people would call something like Neanderthals, We call Neanderthals were primitive, but they call other Homo sapiens, the same fucking species as them, primitive, and it disgusts me because that's not true, and it takes away the achievements that we as humans have created, because we are amazing, every single one of us. I can promise you, it's staggering, actually.
Chisels and stone hammers. The reason why it's called the enigma of Puma Punku is because if archaeologists were honest, they would say they have no clue who made it.
But archaeologists are honest. That's the thing. They're not trying to hide it. They're just like, oh God, we didn't think that humans were this good at building, and now we have to work around that. Like, we have to work that into our human history. They're not trying to lie. They're like, why are people believing that? Oh shit! No! There's a big rock there. You can't just walk past it without, like, how did they lift that rock? How did they do that?
Clearly, some aspects of it, not all, but some aspects, were the work of a very technologically advanced culture, minimum 2,000 years ago, but more likely, even more so.
No. Minimum 2,000 years ago. Minimum 2,000 years ago. The fucking estimate says that it was made AD 536. So no fucking bullshit here. You can't just lie about an age of the site. They know clearly when it was made, sort of. But he tries to make it like it was made at a lot later date.
Here again is a
earlier date
of a piece of stone,
precisely engineered. What is with the effects?
And cut that is under, or clearly was underground. And here you're clearly looking at a recycled piece of stone. You see the fine workmanship and the angles, yet heavily eroded. However, if you look at the rest of this wall, you see how inferior the workmanship is.
How inferior the workmanship is? Did we see the same fucking stone? Did you see this stone? Did he see this stone?
If you look at the rest of this wall, you see how inferior the workmanship is.
Oh, because that's when the alien attacks.
So clearly this was recycled from an older structure and made into a part of a wall, but technologically very, very sophisticated. These surfaces are so incredibly smooth, especially here. How could this possibly have been done with hand tools? The tolerance of flatness, the precision of the flatness of that surface is within 2, maybe 3/10,000.
What is with the effects?
Of an inch.
Alright, so I'm gonna tell you how you can do stone surface really flat, right? With grinding stones. You have certain stones that are a little bit softer, and then you can grind that on a harder stone in order to polish the bigger stone. Caresses rock in American English. It's so beautiful. It goes like that. Goes like that. I have a roll of tape here. I have a movie on the roll of tape, apparently, but it's so flat. How did they make it so flat without power tools? It's so very, very smooth. I'm, I'm getting a little bit horny, you know? Fucking. Alright, so the idea of flattening stones is like, you can do it. If you have a really hard rock, like you have, let's say you have diorite, and you want to flatten diorite. So what you do is get a lesser hard stone, like a sandstone, and you create a stone that you can grapple. Polishing stone with stones. So, how to polish rocks and stones? Stone chunk emotion. Fucking anime. I can never escape fucking anime. It's like, alright, see, basically what you do is you take another stone and rub it on the surface to polish it. What you want it to be is like, either you want it softer when you do the final polish, or you want it harder when you want to, you know, take away unevencies. And that's how you do it. I could do it right now. I can go out and find a rock, and I can polish it. I do it every day at work. When I'm working, I am polishing concrete from asbestos because I remove asbestos. So I use diamond tip tools, and diamond is a mineral or a rock that I use to remove other rocks to make the rock smooth. Like, I do it every day. It's not a miracle. Yeah, it takes time, but they, these people doing this, the Puma Punku, they didn't live under a capitalist system that pays you by the fucking hour, so they probably had some fucking time. You know, that is just my thought of it. Fuck me.
And here too, this is flatter than your tabletop. This is as flat as...
No, it's not.
How could it possibly have been done by a Bronze Age culture 2,000 years ago? Most of this
there we have it again.
Pristine material was buried. And so that's why it's still so beautiful. Other areas had been exposed to the air for thousands of years, like over here. So that's why the surface is not as fine. But okay, what we're doing is we're walking through an actual excavation. You can see that where I'm at is 2 feet plus below the ground surface. And what do we see at our footsteps? All of the stone here is exactly how it was found.
Yeah, my tabletop is also flatter.
This is an amazing piece of work. You see the sharpness of the corners. The flatness of the surfaces. The other amazing thing about Puma Punku is you don't really find too many 90-degree angles. These people were more sophisticated than that. And when we go over to the H blocks, you'll see definite evidence of
Wait,
that.
I have to address that, because that is an ancient alien thing. Like, they point out the 90-degree thing, right, in the show Ancient Aliens, and then they show a picture of a guy that is clearly showing that it's not 90 degrees. And that is why he says that, because he wanted to make them seem like even more advanced than using 90 degrees angles because they are somehow fucking different. It's so lame because that is just it's trying to refute the fact that they're all idiots. And it's like, yeah, but those ancient alien guys aren't as good as me. Look at me. I am acknowledging that they didn't know how to do 90-degree angles. I am acknowledging that they were much more sophisticated. It's so stupid. It's so fucking utterly fucking stupid because they are working against each other just to prove that they are right of the same alien theory. And they're wrong. All of them are wrong.
90-degree cuts in the stone, they're actually dovetails. And that would insinuate that another block of stone matching it would come down and lock into place with it. None of the H blocks are exactly the same size. And that's a complete fallacy that some researchers have stated, that they were as if they were produced in a factory or poured into a mold.
Right, what he's doing now is trying to establish some kind of scientific, what would you call it? Like some scientific basis that will secure his theory a little bit more than the other guy's theory. So what he's doing now, he's regurgitating some archaeological facts so that his other theories are seeming a lot more real, because what he's doing is basically dog whistling a little bit. Like he's claiming that these guys on the other side, well, that also believe in the ancient aliens, they are actually wrong because they ignore facts. But I look at facts, so my theory is correct, right? It's wrong because he only uses it as a tool to make his shit look a little bit more legitimate, basically.
It's different. Now, another point to take into consideration is that these grooves here, you see, they're not from the same time period as the shaping of the stone, because these grooves are quite crude. So they would have been made after the initial shaping of the stone. The difference in time could easily be several thousands of years. Okay, here again, this is a block that was found in situ, originally buried. Look at the incredible precision of the cuts, and so many different ones as well. And then as we travel through this area, we're coming up to the foundation stones, some of which, or at least one of which, may weigh 131 tons. This material is red sandstone, and it's from the area. But if it's 131 tons, how was it moved from the quarry 5 to 10 kilometers away?
All right, let me refute this right away. How was it moved from the quarry? I'm gonna show you a thing. Let's see if I can find it. Fuck. All right, we take this. You guys, do you see these holes? All right, so these holes, they are not only found in Puma Punku. They're usually found in every civilization that has ever used big rocks to build their shit, right? So these are hoisting holes, or something that you would apply a tool to in order to lift the stone. And now I don't have, well, I can't show you the entire rock because I can't find it in the time frame, because YouTube doesn't have, milliseconds, meters. But the basic idea here is the reason that these holes are so close together is because you can see here 3 people lifted it on this side, and you can probably find the same markings on the other side of the stone. And you can probably, and we saw it, like there was more holes, right, down the stone. So there was a lot of people lifting these stones. And as I said, it works like a hoisting hole. Like either there might be a hole like in the middle between the holes, so they could hoist a rope, or they put on, or these dents are big enough for them put in sticks, so they could on either side lift it. Like, it's not magic. It's just how you move stones. It's embarrassing to see this. Like, oh, how did they move it? Yeah, we do that every day, bro. Just because you don't work in construction or whatever. Like, fuck you. Aliens? Really? No. Doesn't mean aliens. You can literally just fucking move the stone if you're enough people hoisting it up.
How was it moved from the quarry 5 to 10 kilometers away to this location? When you see...
Also, do you know that human can take breaks? So they might have began there, but they might take a break or two, or 3 or 4. It might have taken several days to get the rock in place. It doesn't have to be like it instantaneously just appeared.
Whole area here is basically treeless. They could not have used logs as rollers.
Okay. All right, I'm back on camera now. Okay. So the area is treeless. Follow me here. The area is treeless. Now, so they couldn't have used any trees to move the stones. Okay. What if, and I'm saying like a big what if they used the trees that was in the area to move the rocks? Like, let's say Easter Island, which is, I think, the best example of deforestation turned fucking hostile. What if they did that? Wouldn't that make this area treeless because they used the trees to move all the rocks? But Easter Island was also them aliens. Yeah. Oh my god. I'm not gonna cover Easter Island today. Jesus Christ, that's a doozy. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna continue out this video and comment on it, and then we're gonna call it. I feel like I'm going to have a stroke.
So how could this material have been moved? Unfortunately, red sandstone is not as hard or durable as the gray andesite that we see. And so there's so much weathering on the surfaces that we don't see much in terms of precision. But that block there, which is multiple tons, is the andesite. And what we'll do with the camera is we'll have the camera lower down and then come back up, and you'll see it is as flat as a tabletop. Bronze chisels, stone hammers, Inca, Tiwanaku, Aymara, none of them could have done that. We're looking at a clear...
Yeah, but they didn't use bronze chisels. They used a strong copper-nickel alloy. It's like they knew how to make metal tools, and to flatten the surface of a stone, you just need another stone. You don't need power tools. You don't need an actual flex with diamond tip. Fuck all to do it. It's like you can do it. It's Why do you think they use bronze tools? That's not even correct. Like, if you spend this much time, on trying to prove that alien was here, how can you not get the fucking facts straight? They used copper nickel alloys, not fucking bronze. And that is a different story when it comes to hardness of the tool.
Example of lost ancient technology.
Lost ancient technology. Go fuck yourself.
So these are the famous H blocks. And again, there have been some theories stating that these were made in a mold or that they were made in a factory, exact copies of one another. But we've taken tape measures, we've measured them, and every single one is different. So the idea that they made a wall is quite foolish. The idea that they made a launch pad for a spacecraft is honestly stupid, because that would be something done in a 1950s science fiction film. The other point, which is or 2 points. One is that this is not a 90-degree angle. The distance between here and there is smaller than between here and there. So this is in fact a dovetail. It is possible that when it was originally built, there were stones that came down and interlocked into this. And as well, the only two symbols that we find at Puma Punku are this one in here and the one below it. All of the carving that was done, all of the images of Viracocha, etc., all of that was done later, and I can show that to you right over here.
But then you don't show that? Oh, it's gonna show the gateway. Why are you so bad at filming?
So next we're off to Tiwanaku, and there we'll see, again, a lot of evidence of the, I believe, Puma Punku builders, the oldest culture to occupy this area.
So baffled by these guys. They spend so much time in disbelief that another, well, I don't really want to say race, but another race of humans, that they can actually construct anything. Also, notice how he didn't show that thing that he said that I can show you right over here. Like, he didn't show it because maybe, disproved him or whatever. But I'm so baffled when it comes to ancient aliens. It's such a selective idea because they don't see the whole picture. When it comes to Puma Punku, there is so much evidence all around the site that archaeologists can tell you about that explains exactly how the place was quarried, why there are no trees and stuff like that. It's all around the site. Like you don't have to look far. It's a Google search away, basically. And yeah, I gotta admit, yeah, I haven't been to these places either. But I'm like, yeah, humans are amazing, right? See, humans are amazing. I think that humans build all this stuff because we are fucking great. That's because look at where we are now. And you say like, would primitives create a phone? Would primitives create a computer and stream from? Would we create the internet? Just because something is made out of stone doesn't mean that the people back then were fucking idiots. I can't understand that kind of thinking. And then we can come back to the idea of racism, which I don't know if they know, but basically all the culture they are critiquing as created by aliens are created by people of color. So they don't ask about, Viking longhouses or anything like that, or our runestones. They don't ask about Stonehenge. Well, they do ask about Stonehenge, but not our castles and stuff like that. Were those created by aliens? No, they were created by white men. But as soon as there is a possibility that something is created in a country where people are of color, there they are, like, oh, it's aliens. It's obviously aliens. Like, these people can't do this, Or aliens did delete the part of the video. Yeah, maybe they did. Well, I'm going to end this podcast here. I will be back with more ancient aliens than this. I promise you. And if you're wondering, I have some debunking. I had 2 debunking videos on my YouTube channel that you can watch. Let's see if I can find them. Well, one of them at least. You go to. I'm gonna post my YouTube here. Thank you, Sakreel, for the follow. So you can find my YouTube here, but you can also find my debunking videos. One of them is this one. So I'm gonna see if I can get a link. Yeah, I can. And you can follow me on Twitter as well. And on Curious Cat, obviously, if you want to ask me some dumb questions. And I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. It's been interesting. I hope you know that this video will be up Sunday because since I have a affiliate deal with Twitch, it has to be exclusive to Twitch for 24 hours. So I will upload it on Sunday onto YouTube so you can watch it all again if you want, or spread to your friends about how I hate ancient aliens. So I thank you very much for taking part in this stream. Love ya.